All right. Hello, everyone. Sorry about the delay. I normally use my MacBook Pro during the week, and so when I come down to the iMac every now and then, it's in the middle of an update. And I didn't come down till like 10:57, 3 minutes before I was going to live stream, and there it was. So anyway, let me know if you can see me and hear me okay. I think everything should be all right. Let's close down some of these things. Get out of my way, Ecamm Live. All right. Cool. Hey, Adrian, how's it going? There's those updates wanting to install again. No, you just updated. Okay, so today, well, crap. Looks like I still have some things up here. Let me switch to just me real quick. Hey, everybody, look, it's me. Let me close down some of these other apps. And let's go to Blueprint as soon as it decides to catch up. Hey JT, how's it going? Hey, thanks for the PR yesterday. It looked good. I got that all tagged and deployed now. All right, so as soon as this wants to go. All right, I think we're good now. Let's go back to, there we go. All right, we're sharing. Hey Samuel, how's it going? All right, so we're on Blueprint. Let's do git checkout master, git pull, get all the latest stuff, and then git checkout -b. We'll call this component attributes. All right, so what I want to work on today, and again, apologies, I kind of was in a rush here, so I got my coffee, and I got a part of a donut to still finish, all sorts of stuff going on. So, part of what I want to do today is something that should, it should alleviate probably 2 or 3 of these things. So what's happening in Blueprint is, even though, you know, the whole point of this is to leverage Laravel conventions, and that's why it's quick and you don't have to write a lot of setup. Some people, you know, they just want to do things, you know, a custom way, right? So kind of these bottom 3 here, or these 2, and I think one of these other ones, it's, you know, they want to customize the table. They want to be able to say, like, generate a pivot model. That one's not necessarily so custom. That's pretty fair enhancement. But the ability to, like, customize the name or customize the class that it's extending is another one that's in here somewhere. Or maybe somebody submitted a PR for that I closed before. But anyway, the point is that, you know, I think enough people are asking for this that it's a road that, or a bridge that I'm gonna need to cross. So that's what I want to work on today. Just kind of get a feel for it. In fact, there was a PR that I think we closed in the last stream that I don't know what it would have been called. I closed it for sure. I don't know how old it was now though. Is closed. There's got to be a way to, like, sort this, I think. Is there a sort? No. Let me close the chat here so I can get more of my screen. Sort by recently updated. There we go. It wasn't this one. I think it was like fix add table name issue, maybe? It wasn't very well named. But I think, yeah, they didn't have like they didn't have something that they demonstrated with this. Anyway, let's just get into Blueprint and let's kind of hack it together. I thought somebody had some code, but I don't think that they do. So I really could have sworn somebody had some of this code. I was actually going to use some of the code, which is why I'm trying to look for it. But I don't know where. I don't know where it would be now. I should have held on to it in some way. Default to plural, maybe with this. Did we close this? I don't know what we did here. One of these has, I don't think it was this one either. Whatever, quit messing around. All right, let's go to the tests and the fixtures, and let's just go the draft file and maybe the classic kind of README example, maybe. Yeah, I think let's do the README example. So here's what people are kind of asking for. They're asking for some kind of like meta property here where you can say things like, and maybe not that since Shift or Blueprint doesn't really use it, but here you would say something like name, or like table would be like, post. Like if you didn't want to do that, or you could say something like pivot is true, or maybe you can go so far as to say like extends. If people, some people have like those crazy base models. Again, I hate this stuff, to be quite honest. I would never do these two. I mean, the pivot true kind of makes sense. I would understand that one. That one's fine. But these two, completely ridiculous. I don't know why people would fight the framework. Again, I appreciate these things are configurable, and PHP, you can change whatever inheritance you want, but I just don't do these kind of things, so I never really would have thought I would have built this into Blueprint. But again, enough people are asking for it. I think there is a good opportunity to have this meta attribute. A couple things, a couple challenges. First, this meta attribute, you could have a field on post that you want to have called meta. So I'm not 100% sold on that, and I don't really want to do like this kind of crappy underscore thing that's like so C-esque to me. So I'm trying to think of the right name here. Meta's nice because it's small and it doesn't like, I don't want to call it like properties, because then it's kind of like, then it could be confused with like the class properties. Like again, if you think about it in the context of controller. So I just want to be mindful of that. So I was thinking something like attributes, but of course now PHP 8 kind of has class attributes as well. So it's kind of like, I don't know. That's why I was kind of going to go with meta. It's simple to type, so it's kind of like the meta details about it. But I guess there needs to be some convention around this to help with the fact that this thing, you might have a meta action in your controller. You might have a meta column in your a column on your model, a meta column. So I think there's two things that would kind of help with this. One, there could be kind of the requirement that this is first. So it's the first kind of thing here. And then of course that it would be an array. I think the combination of those two kind of make it easy to wield, or to determine that that's kind of what we're looking for here. So I don't know. Let me know what you think in the chat, but I think that's probably the way I'm gonna build it for now. So let's get rid of this and let's say something like model allows. Let's go up here to one of these model things. So like maybe we'll just copy this. And let's do like a new file, and we'll say like model with meta. I don't know, .yaml. Again, I'm not sold on YAML or meta, but let's do it. So we'll say something here like meta, and then we'll say table is post. So do something like that. Anyway, again, let me know what you think in the chat if you think it's cool. Call it the same as the model. Call it the same as the model. You mean like post? Nah, no, that doesn't work. JT, doing okay, thanks for the shout. Yeah, cool, yeah, no, I'm glad, I appreciate the contributions. All right, well, I'm gonna stick with meta for now. If people come up with something else, or if you like attributes, that's kind of the other contender, like the attributes would be another one. I'm gonna go with meta for now because it's shorter to type. It's kind of the meta information about that thing you're gonna generate, but I'm not 100% sold on it. So again, it's easy to change a name later. So the goal here would be, we call meta, and this would generate a model. It would have to generate the migration. It would have to generate the model. It would really have to like read all this stuff all the way down. So let's kind of take a look at kind of what that looks like. So this would probably be in the model lexer. So we kind of lex these things at first. And we would, again, I could potentially turn this into a trait. I'm just going to kind of spike on this right now to kind of see what all this looks like. So let's minimize that. That is a lot of crap in there. Okay, so we got analyze. So it's probably this. We're going to analyze stuff. We got this models. We got this cache. It's going to build the model. And the model makes a new model with name, and then it builds up array columns. We would need to do something in here. Model add index. Yeah. I think we would need to parse out the columns. So we would kind of like, let's kind of spike this. We would basically say like, see if columns 0 is meta, question mark? I don't know. How would we know the first key in column? Because I think they're tagged by the names now. Yeah, that's interesting. So basically see if column 0 key is meta. And then, so we'll say if columns key, the first column is meta, parse meta details. So unset and parse meta details. Yeah, okay, let's do that. So let's kind of see what this looks like. So let's get a test going for this to kind of drive it out. So let's go look at the model lexer test. So I'm assuming I have some tests. I don't know why, coming back to this, that there's a unit. Just make them all tests. It seems silly to break them up in a Laravel style now that I'm looking at this like a year later. Anyway, it returns nothing. What else do we have here? Let's break these up. All right, we got it returns nothing, it returns model, it defaults, it disables. I think it handles attributes and modifiers with attributes. Yeah, see, we're already calling stuff attributes, so I think meta, the case for meta is winning a bit more. All right, let's just put this new test at the bottom here. And let's just kind of see what this looks like. So we'll say something like it sets meta data. It sets meta. See, that's why meta is weird. It sets meta attributes. I don't know. Yeah, it sets metadata. Whatever. Okay, so our model. Oh, our tokens are already parsed. Okay. Our tokens are already parsed. So we would have to pass it in like a parsed thing. So that's kind of nuts. So let's call this like post and then meta. And then this would be an array? I think so. Yeah, this would be an array. And here we would say something like table is post. So, all right, cool. Then we're going to analyze that and then assert it's set. It's got a count of one model. Model's good. Its model should be post. Assert name is post. We would need to probably set some other things on it just for giggles. But by default, we would have an assert true uses timestamps. It would have an ID column. There's no other columns than just the ID, I guess, because that's automatic. There are no relationships, so we would say like assert 0 on model relationships. But we would say something here. This is all just kind of simple stuff. But here we would say something like this, assert same, posts, and then model table name. Yeah, I like it. All right, let's move that up a line. Okay, so this is kind of the test we want, I think. We're not going to set anything else because it's all just blueprinting. All we're really checking right now is like the fact that it sets metadata, and we can fix this up a little bit more later. But for now, I think this is all we care about. So pretty straightforward stuff. Let's get Docker spinning up, and I'm going to take a bite of this donut. It's very good. All right, customized, yeah. Customizations, yeah. How about a symbol @ or $? Yeah, I think YAML has some syntax that it doesn't allow. I'd love to put something kind of in front of that, but we can try it out here in a minute. I'm not sure what it parses, but we'll have to see here in a minute. But I remember looking into that and thinking I would use some kind of special syntax, but then when I tried it out, I don't think it ended up being valid YAML, or at least the Symfony YAML parser said it wasn't. So let's try those out here in just a minute. Let's bring up the runner. And what do we have here? We have it sets metadata. So this should definitely explode. Vendor bin PHP unit. Oops. That filter that. All right, let's close this so I get some more screen real estate. So this should definitely explode. Blueprint lexers, model lexer, build column, argument to definition must be of type string array given. Okay, and this is because we're passing in meta. It thinks that it's a column, and it's not because it's an array. So really, in my mind, I wonder, well, no, it's not the parser's, it's not the YAML parser's job to determine that this is right. It's the lexer's job to say, look, hey, that's not a good argument. Okay, so what we could do, I don't even know if it matters that it's a different key. I don't even think it has to be column 0. I think by convention, like Blueprint's probably going to tell you to put it there, but I don't think we need to do that. I think we could really just go so far as to say, basically, if is set columns meta and is array, because again, that's the only way you would write that. You know, that's the only time meta should be an array. It's not anything else should throw an error. So I think if you have columns meta set wherever it might be, if you want to put it last, that's fine. I think may as well be flexible if we can. But as long as it's set and it's an array, then we would go so far as to unset it. So let's unset it, and at this point it should at least pass, and we should get farther along here now. We got to parse that, but we should get farther along here now where it complains, yeah, it gets posts, but really it needs to be post. Okay, so we have a good failure here. It's the wrong name. What's interesting to me though is that we already had this. I didn't even realize we already had this table name thing. Let's go check that out. Model, models, table name. Oh, we do. Cool. Okay, cool. So what we could do here is, I would probably put this here and say private table equals nothing. So just don't need to set it. And then we could have table name do this table or the snake case of its name. So shouldn't affect anything here. All just kind of a red to red refactor there. But we're setting it up now. So now, now we should have something that says, you know, set table name or something like that. So let's just go ahead and put that here. And we'll say set table name. Is it set table name or just set table? I don't know. Name equals name. All right, pretty straightforward stuff. So now we just need to call this. I think we have some other stuff called set. Sometimes I'm not a big fan of setters like that, but I think if we look at the Lexer and we go down to like, we have enable, 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 add, build column. I think build column probably has some sets on it somewhere, right? Or do we just build? No, we just build it up. Yeah, see, we don't really have like a set. Ugh. It's so Java. So Java. I don't like it. Do we have a set? So yeah, see, we don't. We don't have a set anywhere. I don't want to make it public. Well, there's a first time for everything, right? Let's just keep hacking. Okay, so for now, in our Lexer, we probably need to parse this first, of course, before we go unsetting all of its details. For now, since we're only supporting table name, we could just say real simple. We could just parse it here and say if is set columns meta and then table, then we would just straight pass that to model. Yeah, we could pass it into the model up here. I would be open to that if we don't have any other sets, but I feel like we're probably going to have some other sets. So let's just, whoops, let's just leave this for now. All right, let's see if this behaves like we want. And it does. Yay, all right, it passes, cool. Let's get a little crazier here, I think. We're going to need to go down to like the migrations and the generation of the class and all that stuff. We're going to have to like push all that stuff down. So this little change affects everything. But I think before we move on, let's try to get a little more meta information about this. So let's also do, while we're here, let's also do like that pivot true thing, right? I think let's do that. That'll be nice. Yeah. Let's go back to the Lexer. Let's go up here. We'll change this. We'll also say like pivot is true. Technically, you could set this to anything. It doesn't really matter, but we'll stick with true. And then we'll say something like model is pivot, and we'll expect that to be true, right? Okay, so that doesn't exist. Of course, we should get a failure now. Yeah, blueprint is pivot doesn't exist. So let's go to model. Let's go down here to like setting its pivot or something. I think right here is probably fine. So public function is pivot. And right now, again, we're just going to return false. So failed asserting that false is true. All right, let's make this work. So let's get in here and we'll say something like if is set pivot. I don't know why anybody would ever set a meta property for pivot to false, but I suppose we should probably mess with that. So we'll say if it's set and, you know, it's, I don't know if I want to do like equals true. I don't know why you would set it to the string true, but like, as long as it was some kind of truthy value, right? I think this is any kind of truthy value. Although, I don't know what that looks like if you set it to false. We'll have to see here. Let's do this. Let's do a var dump on the meta properties, just so we can see what they look like. Or well, of course they're going to look false here. It's really how does YAML parse those, right? I think we'll get to test that a little lower down. Maybe we should say like not empty. Yeah, let's do that. Let's do not empty. So that means it's set and it's not some kind of empty falsy value, right? Because I think if you go look at empty, this is always one of those PHP kickers, but if you go look at empty, I think if it, yeah, a variable is considered empty if it doesn't exist or if its value equals false. Yeah. And I think if you kind of look at conversion to Boolean and go dig around to like falsy values, you've got Boolean false, you've got 0, you got an empty string or the string 0. The only thing you wouldn't have here is the string false. That's the only thing you wouldn't have. But again, if it converts it to a string to false, someone could technically put in like pivot, you know, pivot false as a string and it would work. So like they could write, it might work, I don't know, we'll see. We'll see how the parser does it, but technically that would pass. And that's kind of what I was trying to avoid those edge cases, but we'll leave this alone for now. So if it's not empty, then we'll set pivot. And we really don't need to pass anything in there. That's why I don't really like it. That's why I hate these set methods. They're so not expressive. Is pivot's better. So let's do the set pivot. Oops, these are kind of not grouped the way I want. There we go. Okay, so table name and then set pivot. And now we actually need to start tracking these things. So let's do this pivot equals true. All right, and here we'll return this pivot. And it's probably good if we go ahead and start tracking that. So let's cut this out and probably ought to put it up here, I guess. I'm not going to type these just because none of the other ones are typed, but by default it should be false. All right, let's see if we pass. And we do, cool. The only other thing I think we could do here is class extension, but I'll want to dig up the issue for that, so I'll probably do that separate. So there's still a lot of work to do with just these two changes. So let's move forward from here. I think the Lexer is working the way we want. I think now we would need to go to the migration, because that's going to need to honor the table name. So we'll have to fix that. And then we would need to go to the model itself, because it would need to get generated with the property of the table name, as well as if it's a pivot, it would need to, you know, extend a different thing, right? So let's go mess with those, and that's probably going to fill the stream up. So let's do that. Okay, so let's go to the migration test, migration generator test. Cool. And let's kind of take okay, output writes nothing for empty tree. Output writes migration for model tree. Output updates migration for model tree. Interesting. Output writes migration for foreign shorthand. Output uses past timestamp for multiple migrations, excuse me. Output proper Pascal case names. Output creates constraints for unconventional. Crazy. Output also creates pivot table migration. That's nice. Ooh. That makes me think about the pivot thing. If you were generating multiple models at a time and you kind of said, hey, this thing has many. Well, I guess if you said has many, you would call it like membership, and maybe Blueprint would see that already existed. I don't know. That's kind of an interesting thing to think about the pivot, is if you were creating a named pivot table that was a quote unquote physical model, you know, how would how would Blueprint handle that? Would it still make a pivot table? Because it doesn't really need to anymore because you've kind of formally defined that model. So I'd want to look into that. Again, this is kind of why I didn't want to jump ahead, but output also creates constraints. Output does not duplicate. I don't think there's anything like super fancy about this. Let's just go find like this data provider. Let's find this data provider that maybe, I don't know why there's so many test cases in here. I feel like a lot of this could have just been written with a data provider, but anyway, what do we call that? Model with meta? And then we'll say something here like create, ooh, that's good. The name is actually different. Create post table, nice. And then the migration would look like model with meta. I wonder if I should call that like model with custom table name, but again, I can change all the names of these things later. All right, we're gonna need to create this. So let's touch that. So touch, oh, sorry. That's kind of far down there. Touch, why is my, there we go. Let's do tests, hello, fixtures, there we go. All right, so migrations, that, and then I would really just go to like migrations post, yeah. It's really just this table, but we just need to kind of change the name on it. So let's go find this, let's drop that in there, and then two things. One, this table name should just say post, and honestly, I think this is like automatically gonna pass. That's why I didn't really want to make its own test case. So vendor, bin, PHP unit, and then who uses this? A couple things use this. Output, oh, it does the update as well. Okay, let's just start here. So let's do this, and then filter. There's already enough of these, so let's just filter that. Nope, it failed, just kidding. Post, and oh, did I not change the bottom one? I don't think I changed the bottom one. There we go, post. Nope. Okay, so database method expected one time but called 0. So nothing generated that. I wish there was a way in PHP unit to like just run a single thing from a data provider. This is kind of the only drawback of data providers is like I got to go down here and like comment out all my provided things just to see that one run if I don't want like the noise of generating this, right? So, because I'm going to go add some debugging. So like output writes for tree. All right, so let's go down to, where is it? Analyze, parse. This dot analyze. Oh, output, there we go. Okay, let's see what it actually ends up making and why it's off. That's the other thing I don't like. A couple things I don't like today, being kind of gripey. I don't like that Mockery doesn't kind of tell you, oh, this thing was called, but not that. It should do a better like diff, because it's clearly outputting some kind of file. So like, you know, what is that? Okay, so it's got this populate stub. So let's just print, or let's just var dump tables. I think this is going to give us, it's going to give us a lot, but it's going to give us what we need to see. Okay, so it is doing post. It is doing post. Table names, post, good. All right. Unsigned big int author. Oh, do we have more crap in there than I thought we had? Where is this draft file? So we just have title and timestamp, but it seems like in our draft file, maybe there's a little more in here. Yeah, there is. I don't need this other stuff. And let's drop this pivot true for now. I think this is fine with me. So just to change it up a bit, we'll put in text content. Let's see if that gets us a little closer. All right, so we've got ID, string title, 400, long text, content. So string title, 400. All right, what's wrong with you now? Type text. Oh, that's what it expected, sorry. Long text. Okay. There we go. All right, so just a little, it was more an issue with my draft file. Oh, because I called it long text. Okay, well that's interesting. Let's put that back to text. It's not really what I'm trying to test here. All right, let's kill this, and let's see if we pass again. Okay, so migration's not too bad right now. And again, if it were a pivot or anything other, any of that other stuff, it kind of really doesn't matter at the moment. So in fact, we could prove that by putting, pivot true back on here, because it really doesn't matter in the sense of the metadata for the migration, because it's going to generate a migration anyways. Now, where it might matter is in a larger migration where I named a pivot table, that the migration generator shouldn't automatically generate that. And if we kind of look here, we can see this pivot table thing. We can see that this gets built up. If we go down and look, I think these are tracked. And it's based on, if this thing has many, then it'll automatically create the pivot table for that. Blueprint would have to be smart enough now that if you made a model, a pivot model, and then you reference that model in the same thing, or really at any time, Blueprint would have to be smart enough to know, hey, don't go generate it for that one. So I think I wouldn't go as far as to call it a bug here, but I think that pivot thing is incomplete in that sense, and that's gonna take some thought. So I'm not gonna try to do that on the live stream. Let's finish this out by going to the actual model class output. So let's go look at model generator. Yeah, and let's get the model generator test. Output generates model with custom pivot columns. Interesting. Model tree data provider. I don't think there's a reason that I would need to make a special one. So let's just keep using this, data provider. And the drafts file is going to be model with meta. And it's going to be the post model. And it's going to output, what's it going to output here? I guess model with meta, because it's just the fixture, so I can call it whatever I want. So let's go touch, tests, fixtures, model with meta. Let's get back to the top of the screen there. Sorry about that. And then nothing else we would need to do in the test necessarily. Now we would need to go to the model generator itself. We need to go make the model what we want. So let's do model. That was already the way I wanted it. Let's go steal one of these, like, README example. Yeah, there we go. Let's borrow this and let's tweak it just a bit. So what we would expect here is it no longer extends model, it would extend pivot. Yes, all right. And you could still have a factory, that's fine. But now, probably at the very top, we would inject the table name to be post. So nothing to change here. This gets injected, this gets injected. And I think everything else other than published at and author ID, let's get rid of those. Those kind of threw us for a loop a minute ago. So published at author ID. And then we don't have any belongs to anymore. So I think this is kind of what we should get in the output. So let's go run our model generator test, and let's get back up to that data provider version. not the empty tree. Output generates models, and again, this is going to do a bunch, but we know we're going to fail just a little bit. Okay, so of course it didn't find anything that matched that because of course we're not even close. And just to kind of hack the output again, we could go down here, comment these out, and once we get into output, we could kind of just print R this to see what's going on. So this create path, let's see what create does. Output created path and content. So here I think we could just print R or var dump content because I don't think path is a problem. Okay, so it still is pulling accounts for some reason. That's a little strange. Oh, that's the user model, sorry. Why is it outputting so many? Output generates models. I thought we, oh, this is pretty high level stuff here. I see. I think other things are calling this. This.populate stub. Let's var this off real quick. Var dump content. This is outputting way more content than I would have expected. And I'm not sure why. I thought we filtered it down. Filter, did I not type that right? 37 assertions. Is this in the wrong spot? Output generates models. Comment those out. That's where it is. Output generates models. Output generates models. I'm not sure why it's running so many tests, but let's go find post. There we go. Post. Content fillable. Yeah. Again, I'm not sure why comment and all this other stuff's coming across, but yeah, so it's outputting what we would expect given that we haven't adjusted anything here. So let's go start tweaking this. So let's take a look at the model generator. Let me undo this for a sec. And I'm hearing peeps in the chat, so maybe you all know something I don't know. You can filter PHP unit data sets. Oh, nice. Number 2. Crazy. Craziness. I would have to know the number of it though. Is it 0 based or is it start at 1? See, it's too complicated. I mean, it needs to be more straightforward. Okay, let's go look at populate stub. So it's going to replace this. It's going to replace the class. And where is class? Let's go look at this model stub. Model class stub extends model. I'm probably okay with extending the pivot extending the pivot thing the way that I want. So I think we could leave that alone. I think we could probably do that here. Yeah, we replace all that with trim body. Here's body, build relationships, build properties is where I'd want to do the next thing. So I think in the stub, we could go so far as to say if model is pivot, then we would do two things. We would string replace space extends model. That's pretty safe. With extends pivot, and then so stub equals that, and then we would need to do the same thing with the use statement. So now we would need to say use, let's go get that model class back. We're going to steal this. I'm going to replace this, and again, let's just be super thorough with that. because you know, you never know how somebody might customize these stubs. So I'm going to change this to be pivot now. So if you are a pivot, I kind of don't like this. I don't know how someone would generate extends model in their code anywhere, because again, everything's like variable names and stuff, so it's just kind of not possible, I wouldn't think, but someone could have a default value. I don't know. I guess what I'm getting at is I wonder if I should do this replacement a little higher up, where like I do this. So it gives me something a little more unique, right? I'm thinking I might do that. So I might start it off and say, if it's a pivot, change the namespace, cool. And then, you know, update the import. And then now in build properties, this is pretty straightforward. Here, we would just go so far as to do the property. And again, we would just want to do this first because it's kind of one of those, you know, top level properties in my mind. So we would say something like if model, ooh, how do you know it's a custom table name? I guess you could say has custom table name? Uses custom table name? Uses custom table name? Yeah, I think we have uses a lot, so let's do that. Uses custom table name. So if it does, then we're going to say properties. Seems like we have a lot of stubs around that. So let's just take the model table stub and replace it, I guess. I don't know why we have so many stubs. I mean, I guess we want to make sure it's customizable, but this would be like str replace name, I guess. Do we put spaces in those? I forgot. Class or name? We do have spaces. All right, so it's kind of Blade-esque. So name gets replaced with model table name out of the stub. And we're gonna need to make a new stub, which means I think we're gonna have to fake that or render it somehow or something. Okay, fair enough. So let's touch, oh sorry, I'm still in search mode. Touch stubs. Are they all top level? They are all top level. So touch that. And let's go take a look at it. Casts. Oh, I see. They come with kind of like the full okay, I got you. They come with a doc block is why we're doing it this way. Okay. Oh, it already exists. Oh, because I made it. Yeah, duh. Skip. I meant to copy this. So I need to go get, I'll get this off stream, but basically I need to go get this, I need to go get this out of like the model class. If anybody wants to steal that from, or send me the link to Laravel's latest model. So, oh, I thought it was Option K. I thought it was like Command L, Command K. Oh yeah, there you go. All right, cool. Does it actually save your history? No, it actually kills your whole buffer. Okay. There's another one. I think it's Control L, but Control L is nice because I don't think it kills the buffer. One of them kills the buffer and one of them doesn't. I don't remember. So anyway, not a big deal. But yes, I was doing Control L when it, or sorry, Command L, but it's Control L is the one I knew. Anyway, yeah, if someone wants to send me a link to the model class on GitHub that has the nice little Laravel comment for the table, that would be awesome. Otherwise, I'll get it off stream. So for now, let's bring this back, and our generated model, I guess we're gonna need to make sure to kind of put that, yeah, Control L saves the buffer. That's the one I like. We're going to need to put, even though it's incorrect, we're going to need to put this one here. Command K is good though for streaming, because then I can use Command K and make sure I don't scroll up and have any weird, you know, sensitive stuff. It's always something, you know, you never think about that as a live streamer, but you got to pay attention to, you know, you could have like a, you know, API token or something floating up there. So anyway, this needs to be changed. So let's run our test. And we got a lot of, oh, uses custom table name. Duh, let's go fix that. So let's add this method, and then we'll basically say return is set this table. And let's just pair this up nicely with our table name. There we go. All right, so that should get rid of those errors, and now we have an error where the post model isn't matching up the way we want. So let's go see why by bringing back our var dump here. Let's just var dump the stub here before we return it. Stub. I think that's going to be easiest. And again, I have no idea why it's outputting so many things, but let's just go find post up here and see what the heck's wrong with it. So report extends model, appointment type, question type. Where the hell is all this coming from? Okay, cool. So we have use pivot. Good. Use pivot. We are not getting our table name. Why is our table name not being respected? Interesting. Let's go check our build properties. Properties, we're gonna append that on there right away. Table name, oh, I bet you we didn't finish this out, did we? This needs to be name. There we go. That's not really the total problem, but it's part of the problem. And I bet you in the test generator, we need to stub out some of these things. Yeah, expect stub with stub and return this stub, that stub. Okay. So that should just work. Oh, model class stub. I gotcha. So down here, fillable. Oh, gross. I see what's going on. I'm surprised it's not throwing an exception, but I guess we probably spy on the file system, don't we? Where is that setup? Yeah, I don't know if we... Yeah, the fact that it should not have received to me means that we're spying on it, and we do. Yeah, okay, that's why it's not throwing an error. A spy and a mock are a little bit different. You know, a spy is pretty loose. If you call a spy, it just kind of silently doesn't do anything, right? It's the whole spy thing, you know, it's silence or quiet or whatever. It's just kind of listening in from afar. But if you mock something, you have to have the hard expectations there. So even though I'm using expects here, it's actually a spy underneath. So what we want to say here is basically, I don't like this conditional stubbing that's happening here, but if definition is equal to drafts model with meta YAML, then we would go so far as to expect that the model table stub is expected to be called. So that should fix the expectation. And then now if we scroll way back up to our posts, wherever the heck it is. Hey, there we go. That's better. So why, and post, good, that looks good. This looks nice. Pivot, this should be good. What's wrong with our final version? The attribute that should have mutated the dates extends pivot. Oh, did I get this wrong? I think I got this wrong. I think I got the link for it wrong. Let's go back. Oops. Let's go back to that stub. I think I just copied this eloquent thing and changed it to pivot. I did. That is not sufficient. Oh, if you, Adrian, if you send it here, I should be able to, oh, can you not paste it on YouTube or some crap like that? All right, I was gonna finish it up live, but that's okay. Okay, cool, we passed. So this is working. I'm trying to think of anywhere else in these table names would need to be used. Oh, no, that should be okay. That should be okay. You would never reference it by table name. I was worried that in some of the like model, here, let me just bring it up. README example, YAML. I was worried that like down here you might have to worry about the reference, but I don't think that you I don't think that you do. So there could be some references here with author ID and stuff that it might be a problem. Yeah, that's okay. No problem, Adrian. I'll get on and finish that up. So I do think that there are some things for like these polymorphic relationships where this is potentially a table name. I don't remember. I'd have to look at it, but again, these meta properties, excuse me, sorry, they introduce a lot of complexity because they kind of have to be tracked since they're breaking those core Laravel conventions, right? Now they have to be tracked by Blueprint because Blueprint can't just kind of leverage those. And there's a lot of places, like that's the whole premise of Blueprint is that it leverages these conventions. So the fact that like, you know, you say with posts here, like what if somebody now wants to say like with post because the table name's post? You know, I don't know all the places that we kind of leverage that, so it's difficult to say. Those might just be things that have to get tweaked over time because I just don't know. I'd have to like read the entire documentation to see kind of where Blueprint suggests that you use the table name. I think most things are referenced again, kind of via a singular name or the conventional name. The model name is what I'm trying to say. I think most of the time this is the model name. So I don't think it's a big deal since you always name the model name whatever it is right here. So if you wanted to make this, you know, posts, then, you know, it would be plural. But yeah, I think that's interesting. It's going to be interesting to see, again, these things where they kind of permeate through. So, yeah, it's kind of goofy. I do think this works, obviously, and I do think model with meta. I do think this works, and you could put this, you know, at the top, at the bottom. I'm going to go ahead and open a PR for this. I'm not necessarily going to merge it just yet, but because I want to kind of think on this meta name just a bit more. I think the preference of Blueprint would be to have this at the top, but I don't think I'm going to build in any kind of like harsh YAML parsing requirement that it has to be at the top. If you want to write it weird and put it in the middle, that's fine. I think it does have to be that name and it does have to be an array. And I think if it's not one of those things, then whatever. Maybe it would be better to build a dictionary where you translate the model name, table name, and use it all the time. Yeah, again, I think everything is pretty much model name, so it shouldn't be a problem, but I don't build a lot of new apps, so I haven't used Blueprint in a couple months, if not longer, because, you know, I haven't really built out many new sections of Shift, and I do use it sometimes when I build out new sections. But short of earlier in the year when I was, you know, kind of building that little fun website for Ashley, you know, I haven't used Blueprint, so I'm actually honestly don't remember if somehow table name is referenced in other places. It might be, again, for like the query statements. I just don't know off the top of my head. I don't think so, but it might be. So anyway, I'm going to make a PR for this. Go ahead and get out of Docker. I'll clean that other stuff up based on Adrian's link. I'm definitely not going to recommend Docker if you don't get the heck out of my way. So 0. So yeah, I will go get that link from Adrian and see what it says. So yeah, I just don't think this is super common to change a table name. Pivot definitely is. That's a non-issue. I don't think, other than maybe, again, do we generate a pivot table? Do we not? So I think the naming there can also matter. So I'm gonna PR this and merge it, but I probably won't release it until I really land, or tag it, until I really land on that name and I kind of look at some of the other test cases to see, you know, how does it reference? Does it ever use table name anywhere? And then for pivots, do pivots actually get referenced? Like, I'm gonna go look at that. I'm gonna go look at that draft file. Actually, let's just look at it real quick for the last thing here. Let's go look at this draft file. That's like one of these pivot table name. Here we go. Yeah, see, belongs to many account test, and then they're gonna name that something else. Yeah, belongs to many, pivot table name. So my guess is if we kind of went and looked where this is used, so we got this migration, or this model generator. Let's go see, here it is. All right, and then it expects fixture model. Let's kind of see what this looks like. You would have belongs to account. See, I don't think that's a big deal, because they're just kind of renaming that, and there's already a ability to kind of customize its name there. So really, you would just say, like, if in this table you wrote, you know, account and, you know, meta and pivot true, like, this should be fine, because you're already saying account, and, you know, you could, if you wanted here, of course, to make these match, like this, you would just call that test, right? And this would all kind of line up. The question I have is actually in that migration generator, what does this end up building? Custom pivot table name user. See, here we go. It ends up building, if we look, it ends up building this test migration. So what we would need to do is I would need to create a test case that's much like this one and demonstrate that it ended up not making like 2 of these, right? Because I think that's probably what it would do right now, is it would make 2 of these. And this thing would not know, you know, what it was a relationship for. So that's kind of the point. If you don't leverage the conventions, you're not going to get a lot of stuff generated automatically, and that's fine, I guess, if you want to customize it. But you would have to say here, like, user ID, you know, ID or whatever, and you would have to say something here like, you know, account ID or whatever these things are. You know, you would have to kind of write all that yourself under account. So it's just, you gotta do that yourself, and you'd have to say, like, timestamps false or whatever. Ooh, that's another interesting thing. I think pivot tables by default timestamps are false. So actually, if you have a pivot true table and you don't have this, we would need to make sure to also add that property for a pivot table. So yeah, there's more work to do here. Now that I'm getting my head around it, I think there's a lot more work to do here. So I'm going to end the stream here. I'm going to finish this one so we can work on something fresh next week. But yeah, I think you can, hopefully in the last few minutes of floundering around there, you can kind of see that why I punted this, and why it kind of when you start to break the conventions and customize your code, like, you know, you have to carry this. This would be the same in a Laravel app. You would have to carry this all in your code instead of just like letting Laravel kind of do the right thing for you. So nasty conventions. So anyway, nasty customizations. Stick to the conventions. See you later.